Okay, back in blooming Lightroom again. Might as well switch Lightroom off. Go away. Oh, skip. Don't ever let me catch you doing that. Should always back your catalogues up, but I just can't be bothered. Okay, so here we are, back where we finished in the introduction. Right, so I'm going to come down to this background copy layer, and then I'm going to add a new blank layer over the top. And then I'm going to double click on there, and we're just going to call this Fine Cleanup. Right, now we're going to do two processes here. We're going to be cleaning and despotting this image, but you can also now see that even though this image was shot at 100 ISO, which I think it was 100 ISO, you're not really aware of very much noise in the image, but as you can see, it's a little bit granular, yeah. So what we're going to do is also not only do this fine cleanup, we're actually going to smooth the image out. But before we actually smooth these working surfaces of this brightware, we are actually going to need to clean it up first. And what can we use for cleaning up? Our tools that we basically use are over here. They are the spot healing brush, the healing brush, which is how can I put this? In a lot of respects, it's more useful than the spot healing brush, and it behaves somewhat differently. It's like a cross between the spot healing brush and the clone tool, but it also treats sampled textures slightly different. And then we've got the patch tool, and the patch tool takes a bit of getting used to, and it is also interchangeable with the selected area with the patch tool. I quite often use it in conjunction with edit fill and the, where's it gone? Well, we haven't got an area selected, but it's the ContentAware fill procedure. And anyway, we'll go ahead and click cancel on that. And the other thing we use is the clone tool, clone stamp tool. Now, the clone stamp tool, if I go and click on the brush, you're going to see me come in here and sometimes vary the hardness, and up here sometimes vary the opacity, but you will see me making adjustments here, which is sort of changing the orientation of the brush and changing how narrow the brush is in one particular direction, because it can help greatly in making very precise repairs to an image, and the way the clone tool actually lays down the tone and texture that you're copying from one place and putting in another. It sort of does it better than it would if we were just using a normal round brush. So anyway, let's get on. And what we're going to do first, you see we're still at 100% magnification, and I'm actually going to go Command or Control if it was on a Windows machine, plus, and I'm going to bring this up to, there we go, 600%. Okay, now you can see how big that clone tool is in relation to the image, because we've now got it blown up quite a lot. And we're not going to be using that to start off with. We'll come in and use the spot healing tool, left square bracket, to drop it, and just make sure we are on the spot healing tool, not the healing brush tool, and we'll just demonstrate this. And it's quite simple and straightforward, you know. I mean, it's done its job there. There we go, that's the mark we just removed, and you know, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, we are right on top of this edge. Now, it's a commonly held belief that the spot healing tool does not work very well right up next to edges, and that is quite true. But obviously, the more you blow the image up, so you can see the actual individual pixels in the image, the more precise that tool can be. So you can actually work quite close to an edge with the normal spot healing tool and the the other one, the healing brush. You can work quite closely to an edge with them, providing you're using a small tool and you're working at very high magnification. Anyway, I'm waffling again, so we better just carry on. And you know, you can see we're working in this fine cleanup layer. We're sampling all layers, so that means we're sampling the active layer below, which is where the information is. And we're also working behind this dust viz layer, which if I turn it off, now you can see we can't see diddly about what we're doing. And if I just move across the image, here we've got repairs that need to be done, and if I turn that off, you can hardly see them at all. You're just aware there's something of a smudge there, but you don't know whether to do something with it or not, because you can't visually get a hold of it. Now you can. So we'll just carry on working in this area here, and when we're working very small like this, the tool does a pretty good job, but if you notice here, it's just sort of blurred things a little tiny bit. It's not going to matter in this particular image, because as I said before, we're going to actually add some blur afterwards. But in other cases, it might not be such a good idea to use this tool. We could come and use the healing brush tool, and which works slightly differently. And if I take a sample from where here, okay, and then I use it as I will be working with the actual clone tool itself, you know, it sort of does a little bit better job, and it doesn't smooth so much. It has a tendency to replace pixels and maintain the texture of the image just that little bit more than the actual spot healing brush itself. Okay, but we'll go back and load the spot healing tool again, just to be bloody minded and bloody awkward, I suppose. And let's just have a go at that. And you'll notice when we brush, we get a completely different effect. Now you can see it's blurred that quite dramatically. If we come back and change the tool to the spot healing tool, and we come and sample, where would we sample from? Say above. And you can see it's actually it's not broken the texture. It's changed the tonality, but there's more of that pixelated texture actually sitting in that repair, which is, you know, I mean, it's better all round. But you do obviously have to keep sampling and resampling from areas adjacent to where you're working, and which is something you don't have to do when you're using the spot healing tool. It sort of works out for itself where it should be taking its samples from. Now you see we've gone really close to an edge there. If I hold down the space bar and scoot along, and there we've pushed the tool too far. We've gone too close to an edge, and now it's starting to take its sampling information from over here. Yes, we can sort of go into here and start mucking around with all this, but basically I can't be bothered. It's just a lot easier to go and pick up the clone tool, and then I think what we'll do, you see this tool just doesn't fit here, not very well. So what we'll do is we'll come and change its orientation, maybe thicken it up just a little bit. Okay, and then we'll use the left square bracket I should say, to drop it in size. We'll hold down the Alt or Option key to do a sample, and then we'll just come in there and sort of Bob's your uncle, yay! And just very carefully see we've done that repair there. And now what we'll do is we'll go back to the, come here for God's sake, we'll go back to the healing brush tool, and we'll carry on. And now I'm going to treat this image as if I was submitting it for stock. Let's just, before I carry on, let's go and make this brush a lot smaller, and then come in and sample from up here, and let's see if we can go close. Yeah, you see, when we're working at a high magnification, we can go a lot closer with this smaller tool, a lot closer to the edge with a smaller healing brush. So there you go, you know, high magnification, small tool, proves my point, what I said before. Okay, so, you know, we can carry on repairing this till the day's, you know, over and done with, and just take forever. Now, as I was going to say, if you wanted to submit this image to stock agency or whatever, can't have any branding on it, not unless you write to the manufacturer and get a property release, which you ain't never going to do, because you ain't got time and the images don't earn enough money to warrant buying a release or paying some sort of release fee. So this I want to remove entirely. Now, we could sit here and do it with a clone tool, we could sit here and do it with this spot healing brush, but there's an awful lot quicker way to do it. It's been there for quite a while, ever since they first brought about ContentAware fill, but we've now got in CC 2000, I don't know whether it's in CC, but I know it's in CC 2014, we've got this extra addition to the ContentAware fill tool, which makes life very, very, very easy. And I'm actually going to keep the ContentAware adjustments that I make on a separate image. And another reason why I made this background copy is because I'm going to rename it, and this is basically going to be our ContentAware fill layer. Okay, so working inside of this layer, yeah, I'm going to zoom out a little bit so you can see what's happening, and I'm going to get the lasso tool, and I'm going to stick fairly close to it, and I'm just going to draw all the way around there, and then we will go edit, fill, ContentAware, and this is the new bit, color adaptation, which by default is turned off. Just leave it turned on. In fact, what we'll do is we'll do it with it turned off first of all, and we'll click OK. It's done a fair enough job, but now we've got to go in and repair it. And if we go deselect, you can actually see an outline of where it was. So if we go select, reselect, and let's go back to lasso in the history panel, and now let's go edit, fill, and we'll check color adaptation, and there we go. Now it's filled it without dust spots, and if we hide this selection or deselect it, we can't see where it was quite so much. And if we actually turn this dust biz layer off, you know, it's worth to treat, and basically it is a tool that we can use to make quite considerable to make quite good repairs on considerably larger sized areas than we do with a brush. What else could we do? What other way could we do make that self-same repair? We could come back to lasso, so now we've got it filled, and instead of using the ContentAware fill layer, ContentAware fill command, what we could do is switch to the patch tool and just basically drag that patch up and let it resample. And the thing about the patch tool is we've got these variables, we've got structure and colour. Now if I leave that selected and I turn up colour, and turn the colour slider all the way up. Now you can see the performance inside the selected area has changed. It's got a lot more mottled and it looks soft, like it's been blurred. And if we turn it all the way down, now it's just replicating structure. And you can see we've got a structure setting of 4 here. Structure goes from 1 all the way up to 7, and that's with just full repetition of the structure from where we from the area we moved the patch to. But what we can do is we can combine that with a bit of colour, just to basically try and replicate the graduation in tone. Not possibly the best image to actually display this on, because it's a black and white image, as good as, and you know, I mean, there's very little colour information in it there. But this patch tool with the variable structure and colour reproduction is quite useful. Anyway, let us sort of go back to the lasso, and we'll do what we were doing before, which was fill ContentAware with colour adaptation. And there we go. We'll go select deselect, Command or Control D, and then we'll come back in with the spot healing brush, and we will carry on doing what we were doing. And I might change that over to the healing brush, and where was it taking me samples from? Let's take them from here. And you know, we can just sit here and go over this, and there we go. Anyway, I'm going to have a well, I'm not going to have a break. I'm going to carry on going, and you're going to come back and join me in a little bit. Okie dokie. So there we go, not done too bad there. We've got a a fairly basic retouch of the knife blade and the knife handle. And if we turn off that dust visibility layer, now you can see it's looking really smooth, but we've still got a bright shiny piece of cutlery there, but we are going to smooth that surface off. But I mean, when you take that into you know, we go and look at the original image, and especially down in the handle, you know, and then we go and put that dust biz layer on. You can see we've made, or we have affected a superb retouch, very simply, not very quickly, but very simply, on that knife. Anyway, in the next lesson we'll go and have a look at how we smooth the knife out. Okay, so I'll see you soon.